And the two of us from this group of three failed again. And so, but we were well prepared, basically knew everything, but the questions were written in such a way that you have to like circle the correct answers. Multiple can be correct, but they were written in a very ambiguous way legally. And
Tricky
so,
way.
tricky. You don't know if like, okay, is it or is it not? Because you know what's written in the book, but you're not 100% sure in terms of answers.
Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that have shaped their lives, inviting us all to reflect and connect. Today we're joined by Ivan Pavlovic, an insightful author and self-educator who has navigated the complexities of life across several European countries. With a keen eye for the systemic forces that impact our financial realities, Ivan's journey has led him to uncover profound truths about economics and investing. Join us as we explore the wisdom that has guided Ivan through his discoveries and shaped his understanding of the world around us. Tell us your name and your favorite quote.
My favorite quote?
Yeah.
When the going gets tough, the tough get going. That would be my favorite quote. I like it because it's motivating. Everybody has a hard time. And so okay. So the favorite quote is, "When the going gets tough, the tough get going."
Okay.
And what this means is, what this means is, when people are having a hard time, they should put in additional energy, let's say, to break through those times. And I also believe in achieving common goals together with other people. I don't think anyone should go through everything alone. So that's my motivating quote.
Cool. What can you give us examples of when the going went tough and you had to adapt to become tough in order to keep on going?
Of course. So I've had the opportunity to go through different roles in life, let's say. As a kid, I was doing Taekwondo. So I started when I was about the age of 12 and then moved into late teenage years with that until I was a college student. And in Taekwondo, it was very tough for me initially, especially because I had to go through, basically zero, from zero to learn the beginning moves while I was, already having sparrings with experienced kids. And so that was a very, let's say, a difficult experience for me because I was not so much into fighting sports, actually, into martial arts, but I just decided to give it a go. And so it was an interesting experience, but I had to basically break through fears. And in martial arts, you basically, of course, you fight with other people, so you can easily get hurt if you're not cautious of what you're doing. All right. And so when I started Taekwondo, and as I was moving from the beginnings upward, that always took additional level, and that meant there's always a better kid out there. There's always better opponents, and things were also moving on rapidly because you start with competitions, but then you quickly go to higher level competitions as well. You fight also foreign opponents, in different countries, and that demands different types of preparation as well, because sometimes you travel long distances to go for the competition, so you need to be mentally and physically and emotionally ready. And so that was for me, those 7-8 years where I was really very seriously doing Taekwondo. That was very valuable experience in terms of personal growth. And obviously many times I had to go through tough times, let's say, to get going a bit myself, to win against myself, not against my opponents.
Can you give us one more story?
Of course, yeah. Another story was where I studied law in my hometown at University of Zagreb. So that was after Taekwondo, then, and a very different kind of, when the going gets tough. And so that was very demanding psychologically, because basically I had to force myself to discipline myself and study every day. And obviously, many students have it this way. But I can just say that I learned a different kind of discipline and resistance there, because it's not just about studying. It was also about passing those exams. Basically, you study for 2 or 3 months, one subject, and then it's not just the written exam where you have time to think. It's the pressure at the oral exam where you face the professors, and sometimes not all the professors are very nice. And also there is all this fear around you, many students, you're waiting there in the lobby and everything. So, and if you fail, now you have to wait for another 2 months. You're losing time to study other exam. So you need to now study the same thing again. And so that was a big psychological pressure here. And what I can say, for example, was I think what's an interesting episode there was when I was on my 3rd year of studies, and I prepared very well together with 2 of my very, very good classmates. They were very good students as well. And we all failed the first time. And then in 2 weeks, there was another, examination period. And so we went again. And the 2 of us from this group of 3 failed again. And so, but we were well prepared. We basically knew everything, but the questions were written in such a way that you have to circle the correct answers. Multiple can be correct, but they were written in a very ambiguous way legally. And so, tricky. You don't know if okay, is it or is it not? Because you know what's written in the book, but you're not 100% sure in terms of answers. So, so that was very psychologically difficult. So I can tell you that me and my friend, we both failed, but the experience from Taekwondo helped me there, because I kind of, I was not happy. Obviously, I was a bit angry, but I kept myself together. But my friend, he completely fell apart. He started crying. He went to the professor's office, and he was emotionally for 2 or 3 days completely out of his mind. And then, fortunately, we both passed 2 weeks after. So, but it took us a month and a half from the first time to the 3rd time. And so we lost this month and a half, and it was just before summertime, and we were like, okay, if we now fail 3rd time, next time is the commission, so you're not being examined in front of one person, you're examined in front of 3 or 4 of them. And also it was the whole summer of studying, so it was just this kind of situations where I had to go through, but luckily I went through it. I was decent student, and I can only say that many people fell and gave up on that university. They gave up too early, I think. So I also know many students who went further. They pushed when it was hard. They failed a few times, and they were left behind, but they still graduated. Even though it took them a year or 2 longer, they still graduated. And so I think that's what's very important. Even in Taekwondo or sports, I saw many great talents. There were guys who were naturally much more talented than I was, but they simply didn't have the character to push it through when it was tough. And so, people, I think, giving up in this kind of situations is just not a good choice. If you believe that you can do better, then you should simply, pull yourself together. If you're religious, if there is something spiritual that holds you together, pull yourself together. and let that help you and guide you through the way in life as well. And so, speak with your friends, speak with your family about how you feel. You don't have to carry this burden alone on your own. There are other people who can help you. You don't have to go through it alone. Even kids who have tough parents, or they're afraid of something. Um, you know, th- uh, there is always somebody who can help you and guide you. Find your coach. If you like your coach, speak with your coach, and let them guide you. Or if you're at the university, find a good professors who can help you out. And so that's what I would advise: is like, don't give up. If it's hard, don't give up and push forward.
Everything has been recorded. So,
No
where
worries.
where can listeners tell us your name, what you do, and where listeners can learn more about you?
Sure. And let me just finish with one more quick story, because I think this one is quite important for your listeners, and I'll be very
Please,
quick
in
here.
case the internet breaks, continue the train of thought with the questions and everything, because right now the internet is good.
Will do. I also put the marker there as soon as I stopped talking, so you will see it there.
Thanks.
So I'll start now. So the last I think valuable story that I have is, so after I also moved after university to other European countries from my home. I had, I will not go into that, because that was another tough road where you find yourself alone in foreign countries and everything. You have to push through, but there are again people who can support you. So find those people who can support you. Find someone to talk to. Don't be alone. There are also many people in your situation, so connect with them. Don't be alone. Don't stay in your apartment, in your negative thoughts. But the latest story, and that's something I would really like to share, is that I was very interested in learning about economics and investing. And so about 5-6 years ago, I started reading and learning and listening to podcasts. And after I felt I gained a lot of knowledge, I wanted to put this information in a concise way, because I consider myself to be good in distilling complex topics into more simple terms. And so I decided to write a book. And so I wrote about the book about investing for beginners, and it's not just about really investing. It's really to explain to people how our financial system is designed, how inflation destroys societies basically, and how we need to work more and more, faster and faster, in order to be able to survive in the system. And so because of that, it took me almost 2 years to finish the book. And it was not just about writing, it was rereading what you wrote and rethinking, could I put it better, like this, like that. And there were some chapters that I initially knew what I wanted to write about, but then I realized while writing them that I didn't know enough about them. And so I went to study more about the topic in order to write my chapter better. And so I actually improved my knowledge by just writing about it. So I discovered, when it was also hard, I discovered that, there are different things you can improve about yourself just if you keep pushing, And I finished the book in the end. It's here, making money on the money printer. It's on Amazon. And so I would direct your listeners who are interested in learning about finance, economics, and just to understand our system in general, how all economies and markets can move just based on manipulation of interest rates and through banking system. There are really lots of different topics there. I quoted really the most famous economists and investors there. So it's not stuff from my head. It's really like, supported by quotes. And so again, I never thought about writing a book about economics, but once I had the idea about it, and I had I felt that I should do it. I felt this emotion, and I felt that people should spread ideas and understand these ideas. And so I decided to do it. And when it was tough, over weekends, I was working on it when I had free time. And so, I was pushing through it. So that's my last story about, I would just give the message to your listeners, don't be afraid. I was not a guy who is for martial arts. I was never a kid who liked to fight or anything like that. But I ended up having a black belt in Taekwondo and being a vice champion of my country in Croatia when I was a senior. And I also coached little kids after that. And so while I always had interest in law, so I willfully went to study law. I never thought that I would be, among the, let's say, best students out there, but I was the first one to graduate in my generation on the second year, and I was generally quite good to finish in time the whole studies, just by being disciplined. And then finally, going out there into the new world, I found career in finance, more on the regulatory side of things, but still in a new country, unknown territory and everything, no connections. But believing in myself and pushing through and making connections with people, I also succeeded in that career. And now it's I finished a book about economics, about monetary system, about crisis and cycles and investing for beginners. So while I never, studied economics formally at university, or I never thought that I would do something like this. And, if I felt discouraged that I would do it, then I just never would have started doing any of these things. So don't feel discouraged. And when it's hard, push forward. Just push forward. If you think you can do something, like, don't mind the criticisms, and believe in yourself, just believe that you can do it. And if you find yourself stuck in some way, then think about the solution. There is always, if there is a big problem, so there is a solution for every big problem. And if you put the big problem into small problems, a few smaller problems, then you can work on every small problems, and then you will solve the big problem. So that's it from me, and I hope your listeners will, feel inspired by this little story from my small success.
Yeah, can you say your full name?
Can I see? It's Ivan Pavlovic.
I just wanted to get that clear so that I make sure I'm pronouncing it the way you pronounce it when I'm doing the intro, in doing the editing. Thank you so much. We're able to mention everything, the website and all that. So sorry about my internet.
No problem. I mean, I'm not very active on social networks.
Okay.
If people want to read my book and connect and discuss it, they can find me on LinkedIn as well. So I live in Portugal. So if you put my name in Portugal, you will probably find me easily.
So the name of the book is Making Money on the Money Printer by Ivan Pavlovic. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
yes,
Ivan,
on
for
Amazon.
Understanding and patience. Yeah. All right.
All right. Bye-bye. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Relatable Wisdom. If you found something meaningful in this episode, make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. If you'd like to support the show, you can do that by buying me a coffee. The link is in the show notes. Every little bit keeps the conversations going. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep growing.